And you can follow along with the slides. So the code samples and the slides are available in aka.ms/4-all. And it's got a really nice immersive reader demo and slides. You can reach me on @Rory Preddy. I try to do 50% relevant Azure and advocacy updates, and also 50% memes, which I'm kind of famous for, and yeah, sometimes get me into trouble. So who am I? So I've been in R&D now for about 10 years, and at developer advocacy and in cloud and Java advocacy. And I joined Microsoft 3 years ago, and I am now a developer advocate for Java and accessibility. What does that actually mean? It means that I get to speak to the product teams for the individual services and make sure that they get your feedback. So if you have feedback on a Microsoft product aligned to development, it's my responsibility to meet the developers where they are and make sure that that gets back through to the engineering and product teams to make your experience wondrous. That's it. That's as much as one. And one of the things I want to show you now is in this talk is how to code for accessibility. And the world is changing. And for once, accessible software is within the reach of everyone. And I'm going to show you how and give you opportunities to incorporate accessibility into your software. Okay, so a little bit about me. I have achondroplasia, which is a very fancy word for saying that I am short. I'm 4'1", or in the metric system, I'm 1.2 meters, 120 centimeters. And I'm 50 kilos now, and I was 66 kilos, but keto, everyone's doing keto now in lockdown, which is great. And I have a lot of accessible changes that I've made. And one of them is my midlife crisis, my 335i. And you can see here on these car pedals, I've actually bolted on the car pedals, and it's only failed me once. But that's really the story. The start of the story is that for accessibility, a lot of the requirements have been to be bolt on. And you know that because when people think of accessibility, they just think of wheelchair accessible requirements, and it's changed now. And we're going to see exactly how that's changed. And here's me also speaking at the University of Bloemfontein, and I'm using a chair to kind of see the screen. And here's me at one of my previous employees, and you can see coffee is very important to me, diet to me, same as single malt whiskeys. Actually, I've kind of fallen in love with blends lately. I don't know, the world doesn't make sense. Yeah, the bolt-on has also acceded to agile software development. Why am I saying this? Because I want to discuss agile development a little bit, because agile was supposed to also change and improve the lives for accessible software developers, because it was supposed to be able to change rapid development cycles and also give people more of a voice to their development ecosystem, and allow them to really have more control over their ecosystems. And if you don't know them, the manifesto for agile software development in the early 2000s, and it says, we're uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it by helping others to do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following the plan. That is, while there is value in the items on the right, we'll value the items on the left more. Basically, let us do what we want to do. We know how to do it better than you. So that's really what happened, and this was a direct result of, originally when software was created, people were kind of more in control, and then they fell out of control. And then Agile came about as an attempt to really give a voice to the developers, but it lost the plot a little bit, because instead we had open offices, the bane of existences. Maybe not so much now in this COVID climate, but open offices were a way that people could, like, microwave popcorn for everyone, and create, like this picture here, fish tanks in the middle of your open office. Can you imagine how hard it is to clean that, or why they would do that? And, upper management goes, yes, we must have open offices. Everyone else is going there with that. And then we also had whiteboards, these magnificent whiteboards. Some cost as much as German sedans. We learned how to stick Post-it notes. I've been on 2 courses to learn how to stick Post-it notes. And what you do is you hold the Post-it note in your hand, you take your finger, and you gently actually go in and you don't disturb the note too much, but you push the note upwards to not disturb the glue crystals, because you don't want to pop too many at the same time. What happened? We were supposed to kill the Hydra with Agile, and the Hydra didn't die. And if you don't know the Hydra is the mythical Greek mythology beast that you chop one head off and another grows about. And Agile was supposed to kill the Hydra, and we still have bugs, we still have software, we still have the same kind of code smell with essential difficulties. Brooks, that the similar paper in the 1980s said, software is complex, it's changeable. We still have those essential difficulties. And it's the same with accessible software. We still have those accessible software because we're not able to kind of chop the Hydra. And when we do chop one accessible software bug off and another grows out there, and we're doing what I did, which is bolt on with accessible software. And I'm going to show you another mechanism. I'm going to show you an ability to actually create Ikigai. Now, Ikigai, one of the ways that I lost weight and I'm losing weight is I only eat with chopsticks. Trust me in this. This is the most frustrating exercise you'll ever do in your life, but you will not get enough calories in your body when you actually eat macaroni and cheese with chopsticks like I did today. And Ikigai is a Japanese philosophy that says that you can create synergy with the world around you by what you love, what the world needs, what you get paid for, and what you're good at, and Ikigai. And ideally, if you do that and you incorporate all of these features, you'll be able to create a Shangri-La world where everyone can have accessible software. Also, with that in mind, we're having a huge drive now recently with aligned autonomy. And if you don't know aligned autonomy, it is the alignment with organizations, roles, teams, cadences, and architecture with plan and practices, and made very famous by the Daniel H. Pick book, Drive. But what happens? We had the Hydra, we had this move for Agile, and the only people who put your hands up for accessibility software are bank robbers, preachers, DJs, cops, and roller coasters. It didn't work. And I'm here today to show you why. And the biggest issue is that we live in empathy bubbles. And what is an empathy bubble? The empathy bubble is that no one has lived in your shoes, and no one has lived in my shoes, and no one has lived an accessibility requirement for each person. And I'm going to show you how to actually do that. So that's a little bit of the backstory behind the how we got to this point. And it's important to understand that, because if you don't know, while you go in and you create and you chop the Hydra's head off, you're going to get to the point that you're going to fail with your accessibility software, because you're going to have that empathy bubble. You're going to take that agile practice. You're going to try to create that Ikigai, and you're not going to manage. So I've got a plan. We're going to define accessibility. We're going to understand an organization or your organization's unique accessibility motivators. We're going to set achievable interim milestones. We're going to implement the tools. And then finally, we're going to measure, improve, and automate. So first, let's start with what a definition is or isn't on accessibility. And a lot of people think that accessibility is bolt-on. Remember that bolt-on story that we discussed. Now, accessibility is not bolt-on. It's the design of products, services, and environments that everyone, Ikigai, including people with disabilities, can fully experience them. It's not designing for disabilities. It's not designing for people without disabilities. It's designing for everyone. And Microsoft believes that once you do that, you have inclusive product and design, you reach accessibility compliance, and then increase productivity, you hit innovation. I'm going to show you how this happens once you actually stop thinking of accessibility as a means to an end for bolt-on. We also need to define disability. Now, disability is not a personal health condition. When you go to a doctor and you say, not feeling too good, doc, and the doctor goes, I think you've got the disability. That never happens. The only time that you feel disabled is when you have a mismatched human interaction. Now, as part of my midlife crisis, I bought one of those BMI scales. And I put it down and I set all the settings out, and it had a picture of a crawling baby and an adult man. And I thought, this is not going to end well. And I put all of my settings in there. At the time, I was 66 kilos, 4'1", 120 centimeters. And I got on and it did like its little algorithm, its AI algorithm. And it said that it used terrible words, like literally it used words that we shouldn't use in polite conversation. And I felt disabled because they hadn't actually catered for me, that my bone structure was different. And that was the start of me speaking on accessibility, because I realized that I had to change the way that this AI was driven. So once we have the definition of accessibility and disability, let's look at also accessibility design principles based on the Web Center for Accessibility Guidelines. There's only 4 design principles. What's perceivable? Can you see it? So make software that you can see, and that's for visual impairment. Operable, can you use it? So keyboard, can you operate your software just with the keyboard? Understandable, can you understand it? Now, a lot of the new features around software are made to cater for understandable accessibility design. ADHD, autism spectrum, those are features that you want to cater for. They're understandable and robust. It won't break future technologies. Now, my phone here, you would normally use it with landscape, but most people with accessibility requirements use it with portrait because they don't have as much mobility. So you need to be able to cater for your software to be pretty robust. So that's the definition. Let's look at motivators. So we have stick and carrot. Now let's look at the stick first. So stick, the US 21st Century Integrated Digital Experience Act and the EU Parliament Directive on Digital Accessibility that said by next year, all mobile and public-facing civil sites, so government sites or public organizations, have to be WCAG 2.1 AA compliant. Or like Canada did, you get a $100,000 fine per day. Remember what GDPR did? How it changed the internet overnight? This is going to hit it even bigger. You've got a year to do this. But that's stick. I prefer carrot. And carrot says, and this is a quote from Bill Gates, for most of human history, we've put our innovative capacity into improving the quantity of life. Because we're living longer, our focus is starting to shift towards improving the quality of life. We're altruistically changing the way that we consider and we look at the world because we realize that the stick mechanism is the wrong kind of mindset. And once we have that empathy, we can also look at awareness of other person's difficulties, pity, sympathy, empathy, and then compassion. And how you do that, and this is the first step. Remember I said that empathy bubble. You need to shatter that empathy bubble, and you need to be able to create that kind of perception of other people's. And you do that through persona spectrum. So here we have Claudia, Ashley, and Ron. Ron is 82-year-old, retired, multiple conditions, arthritis, losing his hearing, cataracts, hips replacement, doesn't use any assistive technology. And you take that and you create accessibility personas, and you do persona labs. And you create and you go into that person's world and you shatter that bubble. Once you have those accessibility personas, you superimpose them using these inclusive design steps onto your software journey. One is you recognize exclusion with those persona spectrums. Two, you solve for one, you extend to many. So the persona spectrums actually come in categories. And finally, you learn from diversity. And I'll show you how through that learning, then you can actually create innovation. We've got our persona spectrums, and the classic example is that you look at someone who has an amputee, who has limited access with their use of their arm, so one arm person, and that person's in the same persona spectrum as an arm injury and a new parent. And I know what you're thinking, new parents, they're not disabled, but I promise you, if you've met a new parent, they are mentally, physically, financially, sleep deprived. They need help. And if you go to your boss and you say, I want to cater for that person with the one arm, the amputee, he'll say, yeah, but the US Center of Statistics says that there's only 26,000 in the US who are within that persona spectrum. But then you'll say to them, but the temporary disability, the people who have arm injuries, there's an additional 13 million. And situational difficulties are 8 million. So there's 21 million people who actually have in that persona spectrum. Now, when we take the persona spectrums with everyone with accessibility requirements, there's more than 1 billion people in the world right now who have accessibility requirements. When you take friends and family and people who are heavily invested with those individuals, you get 3 billion people, nearly half of the world's population. So catering for the right persona spectrum is not isolating and ignoring the billion people and 3 billion invested people that need your help and your software. You take those persona spectrum and you superimpose them over your journey. So this is a ticketing scenario for plane tickets. When we do fly again, you got the registration, navigation, and checkout process. Login, add to cart, ticketing, checkout, and right at the end there, you've got your experience. The survey that you create, that static survey that says, was this good? Was this bad? We'll send it somewhere else. You superimpose that with the persona spectrum, and everything changes there. When you land, you've got responsive design. You've got a capture for registration, accessibility help desk, single sign-on. On navigation, call backup, one button access, voice search. On checkout, SMS and email, one button access. And then right at the end, you don't have that static survey. You have AI adjustment. The AI will change the entire journey to be able to create more innovation with you and say to you, did we help you with your accessibility requirements? You create that innovation by understanding, did you cater for that persona spectrum? And that's really how it goes from accessibility bolt-on all the way through to innovation. Let's look at also how to then now look at taking that into your milestones of your software development process. So your normal bolt-on software there, you can see there, you've got the wireframe product backlog, sprint backlog, and then you've got the rinse and repeat with the agile process with the sprint and using Scrum. And then a shippable project, accessibility, it comes after the fact. And then you know the law there that once you try to fix software, once it's been shipped, it's almost impossible. But we've seen, and I'm not going to get up because I don't actually have shoes on, but I've got pants. This was an important milestone for me for this thing. So you must understand I'm fully pantsed out here, but I'm not going to get up to do my little shift left dance because these are actually wired headphones. But we've seen now, that's my left, your left. And the shift left movement is move everything within the agile mindset, and one of them is to not have a large investment with bolt-on right at the end for accessibility software, but small investments throughout the process. And then it gets to the point that you bring in introducing accessibility throughout your entire software development process. There isn't a bolt-on anymore. And let's see how you can do that with the tool sets. So X-Core is the de facto standard in industry for accessibility requirements, and it's made by DQ Labs. Now, Microsoft has partnered with a lot of our products with DQ Labs. Microsoft Word, Office, Teams, OneNote. You've heard of Immersive Reader. Now, Immersive Reader is the kind of tool there that you can just open up and it'll give you that view of all of your accessibility software. And it's done in conjunction with X-Core, with some of the software there. But we incorporate a lot of the software there to check and to help developers. And so what X-Core is, it's a JavaScript library, and I know what you're saying, Rory, but you're a Java developer, but it's a wraparound. I did a talk recently at PyCon India. on with Python because it's wrapping around that JavaScript. Yes, I know the JavaScript one. Okay, everything is going to be written in JavaScript. I program in JavaScript. We wrap around with Java and JavaScript, and I'm not going to have that argument right now though, because the JavaScript bunch is just too aggressive for me to have that argument with. So it's a JavaScript library. It's renders a scanned DOM, and you can do it on Android and Windows apps also. Reports back to JSON. Same engine that Accessibility Insights uses. I'm going to show you a demo of Accessibility Insights. You've got the developer and also your DevOps pipeline. You can use it for both. You go yarn test or .NET test. It scans your TypeScript or your HTML page, and then it puts it into your driver, so Selenium. And then you've got your actual library, and then it prints out the results. And I'm going to show you a demo of this and show you how easy it is to do that. So here, you can get started on it right now, github.com/Microsoft/x-pipeline-samples. And this is in TypeScript. You can get the C# ones also. And there are so many, every language you can think of, because I've spoken on this talk nearly every single language: Python, Ruby, TypeScript, Java. I spoke at that Ruby conference on using this tool set. So it's really well supported. And then you get your DevOps pipeline. And I get some feedback sometimes, but Rory, that's bolt-on. What you've just described to us is maybe you have an error before. What about if we've got legacy software? I need a solution to make my legacy software compliant. I can't go back to it and fix it sometimes. And introducing Immersive Reader is one of our cognitive services that's generally available. And what Immersive Reader, and this is Microsoft Teams, you click on it and it creates an Immersive Reader of something that wasn't accessible before. But Rory, this is a programming talk. Yes, but you incorporate it into your website because it's a cognitive service. I'm going to show you how to code that. So what can it do? You can change the language. And then PyCon India actually did it in Hindi because it's got language features. And if you haven't seen the news, Microsoft actually reached quantum compliance, quantum similarity, where our AI is more advanced than human abilities. And it's built into Immersive Reader. So language translate into 60 languages, so can understand nouns and verbs as part of language. Can also do pronunciation, and you can see that you can mouse over. It'll read to you in text to speech, break it up into syllables, and then also pictures. And we drive this in most of the schooling software also that we have. So let's do a demo. And then we can conclude. So the demo is a bit extensive because I'm going to do everything that I've kind of said that I promised to do. So let's minimize that. If I do lose you, just give me a shout. Let's minimize everything. And I sometimes forget how to Mac because I'm a Windows boy. But if I do lose you, so let's see here. What we want to show you first is bolt-on. So you've got some software. Let's go here, and I'm going to go to bad, which is my. So this is a software here. I'm going to make it bigger so that you hold down Option and then you go to Zoom. So this is the Web Center for Accessibility before and after. So this is a inaccessible page here, and then you can go to the accessible version there. And the accessible version and the inaccessible version looks exactly the same, because what the person has done here is that they violated good HTML policies just to get the software out here. And I can prove that to you. So the accessible version here on the bullet points here, and if I go inspect, it's done correctly with list items, and the screen reader software there will be able to read it because it's done correctly. But if I go to the inaccessible site here and I go to the same items here, can you guess what they've done here? They've just done BRs and P tags, and the screen reader software won't be able to understand what's going there. And it's the same with the alt tags here. There's no image alt tags here. They've done everything wrong. So I want to check, I want to make sure this software is correct. So I can go to my Chrome or Edge plugin. I'm using Chrome, I know, Microsoft, a Java developer running on Mac. I know the irony is not lost on me. I can go to my little software there, and I can click on Accessibility Insights for Web, and this has got the X engine running in the background. And I've got all of this nice software there. I can go automated checks, color, headings, tab stops, landmarks. But I've also got two settings here for assessment. And assessment goes into a full kind of assessment that you can do, and you can give to your developers who have to go through this manually. And this is full WCAG 2.1 AA success criteria. We don't want to do that right now. What we want to do is we want to do this quickly and painlessly. So we're going to go there, we're going to go fast check. And fast check goes through majority of the issues. So I'm going to go fast check on my inaccessible page, and it's going to give me a listing of all of the items and everything. But more importantly here, it's going to also give me a visual representation of all of the sites. It should have actually given me a little bit more than that. I think, let me do that again. Well, it's given me one there, color contrast. So let's go there again. Let's go automated checks. Let's close that there, visual helper. Okay, that's great. Let's do that again. And we want to go there, visual helper. And it should have given me a few more errors, but it's fine. We can do that. Not automated checks. Let's close that. We'll go back into Accessibility Insights. We go into FastPass. And why am I going into that? I want to go into FastPass. Automated checks, FastPass. I think I'm in the right page. So let's just go refresh here. Inaccessible. Let's make it bigger. Let's go here. And let's go FastPass this time. That's better. Okay, so visual helper, we've got HTML lang and everything like that. And we'll move that. That's better. You know, the interesting thing about demos is that everyone wants you to succeed. And when you do, it's so much sweeter. And then we've got all of that. Now let's go to the image alt tag, and you can see the image alt tag. Inspect HTML, copy failure details, file issue, and I can file the issue straight to GitHub. So I had to put GitHub there, but it says fix one of the following, and then you can actually do that. So you can just take that screenshot, or you can file all those issues. And this is the really kind of the bolt-on, because now you can say, I have my page, send it through the testing team or send it through the developer team. But I know, Rory, you said DevOps. Let's see how you can do the exact same process in a DevOps pipeline. So just briefly before I go there, you can also do tab stops. So if I go into here and I can go into tab stops. Now tab stops, if I go into here and I tab stop here, it just ends. But if I go into tab stops here and I activate tab stops, you can see that you can actually navigate and check that it's all accessible and the tab stops through here. So that kind of page, let's go in and look at the first kind of coding demo that we have, and we want to show you how to create a version of that is DevOps compliant. So this is a DevOps project that I've already kind of got working, and it is got some pages that have violations, and it's ready to kind of test. This is a page with violations, and you've got your X results here, and you can run individual tests here. And if I run these individual tests, it's going to start up a Chrome headless browser as part of the X core, and you can do that in TypeScript, Python, in a lot of the different languages. So I can run the test here. But Rory, this isn't DevOps. This is running locally on your PC. This should run here. Okay, I'm not too sure why the output is not coming through, but you can also run it locally here. If I wanted to go into my bash script, let's close that off, and I can go terminal, new terminal, and I can just go, this is Java, because I wanted to show you Java, and I can go Maven test, and it'll run through, and there's 53 tests there. You can see the Chrome drive is actually being created. You can access this in the DQ Labs repository, or you can also go to those X pipeline samples in the slideshow. And this goes through all of the tests you want to do. Now, it's as simple as that to actually go in to your dashboard then. And I've got all of the tests running here. And it's pretty simple to do that. So I've got my pipelines. Let's go create another pipeline here. This is Azure DevOps. And Azure DevOps is almost free for usage. And it's a competitor for GitHub Actions. But so you can go new pipeline. And we created one before there. And I'm going to show you how to create a new pipeline. I'm going to go GitHub. Yes. Single sign-on. Always trust everything that says single sign-on everything. And then I'm going to go, okay, select a repository. Let's go Maven. Xcore Maven, which is the repository that I had there. Configure your pipeline. Maven project there. It's fine. You can see there that I've already got a inside of my Git repository. It's just going to call Maven basically and save and run. And that's it. That's all you really need to do to actually drive Xcore in your libraries, or use the X pipeline samples with TypeScript or JavaScript. I've got it running in Python, and I did a talk on JRuby. It was pretty simple. But Rory, what about immersive reader? I've got some legacy code there that I need to actually do. I know. And we'll come back to that job there. Let's see immersive reader. So the first thing you want to do with immersive reader is you create an immersive reader resource. And I've got a resource here that I've created, immersive reader RPZA. It costs about 1 cent for every million calls an immersive reader. It's pretty cheap. And immersive reader is just a cognitive service, and you get, the immersive reader, once you have that, I want overview. I'll show you. You get a secret key. There we go. You get a key, and you take that key and you pop it into your library. So keys and endpoints. Don't worry. This is only recorded for everyone to see. You get the keys there and the endpoints. You take that endpoint then, and you put it into a project. So I've got a project running here, open recent, and you can see here the immersive reader SDK is that JavaScript wrapper, and you can get all of these different examples. So if I go here, I can actually show you all the different examples that you can get. And I've got just the quick stop Java, but you've got C#, iOS, Java, Kotlin, Node.js, Python, and then simple HTML. So I've got the Java one working here because my children need to eat. And I've got get the auth token, which gets those tokens then, and then just returns the token there. And this is just a Java class for that. And then I've got some JavaScript in a JavaScript index.html, JSP. And it basically just calls in jQuery and has some text that we're going to drive immersive reader with. And then a JavaScript kind of get auth token, and then the little launch, there we go, launch there, that basically goes and launches immersive reader as a button. So we can run that. And if I remember correctly, I run that with this. So I go Maven Tomcat 7 : run. And I did that also with Flask recently last week. You can do that with, and then it goes to port 8888 because, it's difficult. It needs to have some weird port, 8888. And then that HTML that we saw there before, no, that's not what I want, 8888. Localhost 888, and there's immersive reader. So immersive reader is a tool that implements proven techniques and blah, 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 and there's got different languages and a little button here. So this is the bolt-on for the software, and I click on immersive reader, and it creates an entire immersive experience. Immersive reader is a tool. I did have voice. So this is
immersive reader is a tool that implements proven techniques to improve.
Yeah. So, and then, okay, cool. Rory, you promised me more. So text preferences. Let's go change text preferences, increase space themes. So we can go show source formatting, but then you can also go syllables, nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, show labels. Let's do a little bit more line focus because you might have cognitive issues. Picture dictionary also, so you can see there. And let's change the language to Afrikaans. And we want to go by document. And now I actually have an entire accessible Afrikaans language dictionary. Okay, it doesn't have read aloud there, but it has other languages. And now I can actually go in and go through line by line with my accessible software. And I can cater for one of 60 different languages. And all I did was just put a little button there with pennies a year, and I made an accessible version of my website. So that's the 3 ways that you can actually do it, because I wanted to show you one is that you can do bolt-on, which is the testing software that already kind of, let's go options, bigger zoom, that already kind of exists. Then I wanted to show you how to create an accessible DevOps pipeline. And if we go back, then our pipeline should have run. Let me just make sure, because I like to show you that run. So the job is done, everything's working. It ran, and we did that live there. And you've got your checkout process, Maven, and I didn't even have to code anything. So yeah, so everything's run, and we can go back to our dashboard that I created earlier today, and we should see our tests. Yeah, so yeah, there we go. There's our test that ran, which is great. And then let's go back to our PowerPoint. So that's demo done, glass ceiling done. So in conclusion, thank you so much for coming today. Hopefully you've shown you how to actually look at empathy with those persona spectrums. Shift left with all the tool sets that we've discussed, and then automate. Put it in your DevOps pipeline, and be able to, if you can't do that, use the immersive reader. And thank you so much. You can reach me at Rory Preddy. My DMs are open. And all of that is available on aka.ms/4-all. The QR reader also there is available, and we'll take questions.
I see a question by Derek Hene. How to approach accessibility for expert interfaces with a lot of options. Let's say, well, he's showing you the Azure portal or an IDE such as IntelliJ.
So we have a tool. I showed you the web version, but we actually have the exact same tool for accessibility insights for normal applications, for desktop applications. So whatever you saw there for complex expert systems, you can actually do with complicated desktop applications. You can go to accessibilityinsights.io, and you can get it for Android, for Windows and Mac, and also for web. And it's all driven by the same core, the same core engine, the X core engine. And every time that I want to publish code or content on behalf of Microsoft, I have to use that exact engine to publish my own content. And they are very strict on that. So when you go to www.microsoft.com, that's actually being used with the X engine. So it's very nice to know that Microsoft stands by the tools that they use and have open source to deliver the software that you're familiar with.
Okay. And are there any other difficulties in making such expert tools accessible?
Yes. So that fast pass that I showed you that quickly goes through and does an interim check, it only does 25% of the checks on your application of your website. You can't do everything automated. It's not possible. The fast pass is meant there to give a clear indication of the level and state of maturity of your system, and then to work into it though. So we also have a full check, a WCAG, so Web Center for Accessibility Guidelines check, and a checklist, which is extensive. The actual check is 400 points long and gives you guidance and hints, and also follow up on how to follow it up though. Because as much as we want to think that AI can do all of this for us, it can't. It will never be able to do that. The person that is sitting behind there, the accessibility advocate, is the person that you want to hire and also guide to be able to do that, because that person will ensure, because they're vested in the process of to make sure that that software is. And we have a accessibility hiring process. So our team of a few hundred people who focus on that, we try to hire people who have accessibility requirements, because they are the best advocates to actually do that. They go through the checklist and they help companies actually guide them through that process.
And if you're in quite a smaller project where you don't have the budget, for example, to handle personas, might it also be an option to handle that? Because getting that in small project, getting the budget arranged with your project lead is often hard.
Yes.
Have you experienced with that?
Yes, so that's why I showed you in that session. The one is the DevOps process. 2 is the front end process. But if you can't do any of that, it is really easy to incorporate Immersive Reader. In that case, you just have a button on your application, and you don't have to change any of your site, and you just click that. That being said, I also did a version of this talk, a much longer version, that showed how HTML5 is really compliant. HTML5 is what ARIA, which is a precursor to HTML5. If you code in strict semantic HTML5, you're accessible. And the demo that I showed you, you can actually do really bogus HTML and do horrible things on the site, though. But if you semantically clean in your HTML and your app development, chances are you're making it accessible. It's only when you start to take loopholes and do backwater things that you start to get yourself into trouble. And it's also what I showed you with the tab stops. Don't touch the tab stops if you don't actually intend on maintaining them, because the minute you do that, you're now responsible to keep that order in indefinitely when you could have just left the tab stops alone.
Okay, thanks. Then a question from the audience: how does Immersive Reader compare to Supernova?
Wow, that sounds like a chocolate bar. I'm not too sure what Supernova is.
I'm sorry. I'll help you there.
Reach me on Twitter, so it's @RoryPreddy, and send me the link for Supernova. And I'm very keen. It's a screen reader. So no, Immersive Reader is meant to help screen readers. It's also meant to kind of so screen readers are for the visually impaired. Immersive Reader is more for that because it also caters for cognitive issues. So if you have autism, or if you have Asperger's, or you have ADHD, it caters for that. And it's also not only the silver generation, the elderly generation, not only the middle generation, but also the younger generation. So generations who like the early childhood, who are learning how to read, and also non-English first-person speakers, though. So it caters for a broader spectrum than just accessibility. It's there to help people read. We have this in 1 billion school kids. 1 billion school kids are right now using our software to actually just their first English words and learning how to read.
I see that Oliver is also indicating that it's targeted at the blind. I can imagine that if you use Immersive Reader, that it helps Supernova to interpret the text that it needs to read out loud.
I can't say. I wouldn't say that you would use Immersive Reader really then for that, though. For that, then a semantic HTML is the best. Okay. Because at the end of the day, Immersive Reader really is meant intentionally to bypass a legacy system's bad semantics. You're going to pick up semantics any which way. You're masking it, though. Better to actually use the FastPass and to fix them, and if you can't, then to go to Immersive Reader.
In your experience, if you're looking at this from a more of an MVP perspective, what is the most important feature to deliver first to help people with accessibility?
Captioning. I just did a talk now. So we've hit human parity in captioning and with our AI services, computer vision. And you can go to the caption bot if you just Google caption bot, and it'll caption better than most human beings can. So if you caption, then a screen reader can actually see the image better. And it will be able to, visually show you some of the images. Because a big problem is alt text on imaging. You can also use the video indexer that we have, which is a part of our media services, and that will give you captioning on your videos. It'll give you also speaker recognition and a lot of those services, and that's the simplest solution to do that, because media, visual and pictures are the first to say, for someone to say, oh, it's going to take me too long to do that. But it's the first thing that people want to do if they visually or cognitively have accessibility issues. So yeah, reach out and do that. Semantic HTML and then alt text and caption your videos and images.
Okay. If you look at accessibility and the number of people who are have a need for accessibility, there's of course a minority, as you indicated in your presentation. Are there ways, for example, I mean, I'm not somebody who needs accessibility personally. Are there ways in which I can experience what a lack of accessibility hinders for people who need it? Are there ways, for example, to experience that in a tool that I'm able to experience that so in some lab or something, just to educate people on this?
Can you speak 60 different languages?
60?
So when you so when you go and you're not a first language speaker of a language, you immediately feel that you have a mismatched human interaction with the software that you're using, though. And quite important is that you want to have that first person experience. So if you want the experience of something of that kind of that feeling of disability, it's not being able to have that first person experience. And we also provide language services. So that, I would say, is the easiest for someone who isn't hasn't got that. But these are new, these glasses. This I only got, with the COVID climate. And and the irony is that I'm building software that now I can actually use because I'm 41 and my sight is failing, and we're all going to reach that. The silver generation has over $1 trillion a year worth of revenue that we're looking at, that companies are vying for, and we're all going to hit that. So I'm saying thank you, future me, for actually creating a world where future me will be able to use software.
Yeah. I think that's actually indeed something. The example you gave for not being a native speaker. I mean, not a native speaker in English myself, so that I think is really nice to relate to, at least for most people who work in international projects. So that's a really nice example. Thanks. That helps.
So I see in the questions there about colorblind. 1 out of every 20 men are colorblind. So the Accessibility Insights plugin for Chrome and Edge that I demoed there also allows you to switch off color. And you should never use color to actually indicate alerts or warnings. And it's something as simple as just a slider, and you switch off color, and then you can immediately cater for a very large portion of the population that is colorblind.
Yeah, I see that Derek is also sharing that link to the Chrome extension to simulate that. Very, very nice. Thanks. Okay, I don't know if you have any other things to add. I don't see any more questions popping up.
So if I can just leave you with a thought, that at no point in the session was meant to guilt trip anyone to go quickly and to change whatever they're doing. This is a journey. We're all on this journey, and this is an altruistic mindset that humanity is actually approaching. Take the fast pass. Just start at the low-hanging fruit and look at where you are. Put a stick in the ground and say, at least I know where I am and what I need to achieve, and then move forward. And however fast you move forward, it's a journey with you, and then just see if you can do it in small steps. And I look forward to doing this journey with you. It's not only Microsoft, Google, Apple, Facebook, they're all on this journey also, though, because they've realized that it's time that we don't improve the quantity of life, quantity of life anymore, but the quality. But thank you for watching my talk.
Yes, thank you for having it up. Thank you, everybody in the audience. We're way in overtime, of course, but thank you for sticking up. We're closing up here. Rory, thank you, and talk to you later.
Cheers, everyone, from sunny South Africa.